daughter, Victoria, was angry and agitated after hearing her father's guilty verdict.
You know, when one of us is accused of cheating, we're just considered low lights. Is that what it is? When the government is, it's okay. But you know something? You know something? I just have one thing to say, and I don't want you to bother me. This is your government, all you people. It's about time that you stood up and took it back. Don't you see what's happening? Take it back. It's yours. It's mine. But I don't want it. He'll be out there today like a proud peacock. Andrew Maloney, that's your U.S. District Attorney. He'll be out there like a peacock, just enjoying and reveling in this. He didn't win fair and square. He played a game that he didn't play fair and square. My father is the last of the Mohegans. They don't make men like him anymore, and they never will.
Hey, what's up, guys? I wanted to take a second to remind you, please hit that subscribe button, and if you like what we're doing and want to support the channel, you can do that via Cash App at American Made Channel. Now, let's jump into the video.
I went to school and we had an essay, you know, who our heroes were. Most kids chose their fathers. I chose my father too, and I wrote, my dad is a construction worker and he builds tall buildings, and so I took my place in the front of the room and I started to read this report. And there was a young girl in the back, and she yelled out, her father's not, you know, a construction worker. Her father's a jailbird. He's in jail. She had heard it from her parents at the dinner table. She blurted everything she could out, that he has gone to jail before, that he wasn't coming home. I remember just standing there in front of that room, and it was like, wow, you know, what is she talking about? But it made sense to me. He told me that he worked with a construction crew. I would ask him where he was going. He was going off to some building, some school, some office building, something. Prosecutors say my father was the biggest crime boss in the nation. You don't want to believe it. And when you love that person, it makes it so much more hard. This was something he saw early on. And made up his mind that this was what he was going to do. This is what he was going to be. And he never saw anything wrong in that.
When I was able to graduate from the gutter, I took myself out of the gutter. I advanced myself. I told you, my life was dictated for me. I didn't dictate my life.
When you choose that life, I think you know what you're signing on for. I think he knew going in what was expected of him, what he would have to do, what it would cost him, and I don't think he cared. I think that all goes along with that life. I loved the man, but I loathed the life.
You know, Dad, but the whole thing is this. Going way back to that whole incident with Frankie in kindergarten. The kids are in a very prestigious prep school. Now you have one or two options. You pull them out, you start again. Why should I make my kids run from anything? My attitude, my honest, the first instinct, the first that came out, the words that came out of my mouth, I turned to John. I know he's well capable of it. He'll sit here and tell you himself. I said, why don't you turn around and crack him? Just like that. I was ashamed that I even said it.
Yeah, but either you're going to be proud of who you are and fight for it, or you're going to be ashamed of it. Do like some other lowlifes do, change their names.
He was going to become a leader. He wasn't going to be a follower. He was going to rise to the top. He was going to make it. He looked the part. Acted the part. He was the part. The real life Godfather. People treat him like he was the second coming of Christ. John was a player in that world. John saw, you know, Dad driving the fancy car, you know, and having these guys look up to him like he was God. I have to wonder if John saw this as a way to just get our father's approval or to somehow make him proud.
Hours after John Gotti Jr. was arrested on murder conspiracy charges, we're now hearing from his sister. In an interview that you will only see on CBS 2, Victoria Gotti calls the government's case a vendetta. She spoke to CBS 2's Pablo Guzman.
Why do you think they keep hammering him? I know what your lawyer told me.
Oh, I mean, it's obvious, because if they could take my father out of the grave and, you know, retry him and, you know, win again and again, they would. I don't know. I feel like saying, you know, it's this vendetta, but I'm so tired of hearing it myself from other people that you try to convince yourself it's not. And you try to convince yourself these are supposed to be the good guys. And it's just not working for me.
Victoria Gotti dismissed the turncoats who will testify against her brother, like Sammy Gravano and Mikey DeLeonardo, with, if they know so much, what were they themselves doing back then? FBI agents have told me that if her father's world were different, if women were in the leadership, Victoria, they say, might have been someone to watch. She's that tough.
I have this really good feeling, though. I can't explain it to you, but I have this good feeling that finally, after this, if they were to come back at him, they would look like absolute fools. They look like fools now, but absolute fools.
Sammy told a lot of lies. It was very, very difficult for me to look into these crimes that he was accused of committing. I was angry at everybody for lying to me. I think he saw there was no happy ending. I think he knew that one day he was either going to spend the rest of his life in jail or he was going to end up dead.
Is the last of the Mohegans. They don't make men like him anymore. They never will.
I knew that I'd lost my father. I knew that that was it. It was as if somebody had told me my father had died. And that's how I felt that day. When the funeral began, the mourners that were all up and down the streets, holding signs, crying, kids, old men, young women, young men, everywhere. The funeral cars, the flower cars, the ceremony, the cemetery. And I remember getting so angry and so angry and so angry and just saying to him, what was this all for? What did you do? Look at you. Look at the life that you lived. Look at us. You loved us most in the world. Look at us. What was this all for? And I walked out of there so angry. And I'm still angry. I don't understand it, and I guess I never will.